When it comes to the Instagram accounts that you run, is that the Team Gary V account?
I personally do not run that. So we have a bank of probably, I don't know, couple dozen Instagram accounts handles that are popular, so popular keywords. And so, for example, like podcast is not one of them, but like just sharp one word keywords. And a bunch of our team members run various accounts on there. So yeah, it's a little network hub we have on from that angle.
That's interesting. So it's like accounts that aren't necessarily associated to Gary Vee. Then it's kind of accounts associated to just different things within culture.
Yep, exactly. And I made that out to be way more vague than it needed to be. So I run the account at highlights and at nutritional. And so obviously those are two strong, big keywords. And how do we get those accounts? I mean, it's just, once again, Gary kind of being on the cutting edge of Instagram and was able to snatch them up pretty early. And it's beneficial for us long term to build those up, have them be healthy. And we don't think Instagram's going or I shouldn't say that. I don't think Instagram's going anywhere anytime soon. And so making sure those accounts are healthy can only benefit both our team and the just entire Vayner ecosystem moving forward.
That's really interesting. I didn't realize that those accounts like belong to VaynerMedia then. So all your content, if it's not Gary Vee related content, where are you getting it from then?
Yeah, just in case this gets out there, they're gallery media entities, so it's not VaynerMedia necessarily. So Gary bought gallery media, so just for the just to clarify things there. But how we're getting the content, it's just like any of the various sports or fashion or any of the various accounts you see out there. It's ripping things from the internet and giving credit. There's no copyright or infringement or anything like that. We give credit on all our posts. But yeah, there's an element of that, ripping it from the internet. And then there's also an element of, we do have designers on our team that do design certain aspects for the various handles. And yeah, that's something we definitely invest in.
Mm-hmm. And then so how does it differ than running a curation page versus running like your own personal page?
That's a great question. I think I would say with my personal page, I'm more poignant on kind of what I'm posting. So, and Gary might, if he was ever listening to this, he might push back and say, just post, just post, just post. But for me, I'm a little more strategic of just, all right, is this a message I want to push? Is every I dotted and every T crossed? That's kind of how, like, that's kind of how I wire with my social, with my personal social account. I'm very wary of every single thing I'm posting versus, for example, when I run at highlights, the sheer quantity, there's some value to that, just in terms of getting up in the followers, making sure more eyeballs are following my page. So can I turn out 4 posts a day on my personal page? To me, at this stage in the game, with where I'm at, that's just not something I do. Is it realistic? Sure. If I did a different strategic route, but I think the sheer quantity of posts differs between the two accounts, just because my personal one, it's more personal. I want every single message I push to really be honed in, and I think that's the biggest area that differs.
Is there any other accounts that you kind of look to for inspiration in terms of running it? Like, just when you're talking about frequency of posting, I had Buster Share on the podcast a while ago, and he runs Hoops Nation, and he says he'll post sometimes 20 to 30 times a day. Like, I just quickly, I glanced at the highlights page because I never heard of it before. It doesn't look like you guys post quite that much, right?
Yeah, we do not. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Running highlights is a responsibility of mine. But on the tier of responsibilities on my day to day, it's not tier A. I wouldn't say that, or it doesn't have the utmost of timeliness. So yeah, I don't find myself posting all the time, but I try to do 1 post a day. That's kind of where I'm at, and so it's just a sheer bandwidth thing. But to answer your question about inspiration for highlights, I think I'm always keeping tabs on the Bleacher Reports, Ball is Life, at Ball Players. All those accounts that are kind of in that realm, seeing what they're doing. But I think there's also elements of our team, of our team members that manage accounts. We meet regularly just to see kind of best practices. So all these accounts, they're operating under the kind of the same the same mindset in terms of, all right, this is the optimal picture format. All right, this is the optimal copy format. All right, beware of this title, beware of this heading. How could you have engaged your following this way? I don't care which handle you have. A lot of those same factors play on all the handles, and in that regard, I find inspiration from anyone who's executing on social media.
That's really interesting. So it was basically like the intention behind having this group of accounts just to kind of get those key learnings so that they can be implemented into Gary Vee's content strategy, whether it be for Instagram or other socials.
To be honest, no. I would say Gary, just by how much he posts, he can learn, and we track the metrics on his own posts to see what's working. I don't think he necessarily needs to have the highlights and the nutritions of the world or nutritionals of the world to track that. Obviously, it doesn't hurt, but I think Gary's whole process he's got going on, the tracking and the testing, is good enough on his own page. I think the biggest thing is just more long term. So, all right, if Instagram's not going anywhere, and a lot of these companies are paying to get various posts on these pages, all right, well, why don't we just try to just control the page and own the page? So then, long term, we're the ones that kind of push the needle, I guess you could say, and we're the ones that control it, rather than maybe being reliant on Joe Jones, who controls XYZ account. I think that's more so how we're wired with that. But then again, hey, I've only been here 5 months. These accounts have been running for a lot longer than me. That's just kind of how I interpreted it.
That's interesting. And could you kind of go back to those like meetings that you have where you all get in a room and you talk about your key learnings? Is there anything that you can kind of give the listeners here, like some quick hits on some little tips for Instagram and the best way to kind of format your content?
Yeah, I would say we're very honed in on IGTV, and if you're looking at highlights right now, that's something I need to improve in. But we're really eyeing IGTV, just seeing how Instagram's pushing that. So if there's ways you can get in the IGTV space, I know that's something that we have our eyes on. But ultimately, a lot of this stuff is very basic, right? If you're honed into the social media world, I could tell you stuff that you'd be like, oh yeah, of course. But then it's just a matter of executing on it. So are you engaging in the copy? When I say copy, most people say it's the caption, but we say copy around here. But are you making your copy engaging? Right now we like longer form content for a lot of or longer form copy for a lot of our posts. Really diving into what the post is about. On highlights, that doesn't necessarily play as much. So we're more like the one-liners. So you got to know your audience. But if it's your personal account and you're getting deep with your followers, really dive into the copy. Don't just post a fun day at the beach. Like that's a really that the copy is a way to really engage in your following. And I think ultimately, if you're posting videos, just being very honed in on the format of your videos. So the format for an IGTV is going to be different than a format for a square video, for a video under 1 minute. How does your title look? Are you doing subtitles? 50% of people that listen to videos use or don't listen with sound. So if you don't have subtitles, you could be losing videos. That's something that was more so a case a year ago. We're still testing that now, but it's all those little factors that I think you need to be wary of to optimize your social media presence.